Hello, it's Sonia here with The Pretty Stitch. Welcome to my channel. If this is your first time joining me, I'm so happy to have you here. Today's video is going to be a pattern, and we are going to be making a hat. And for this pattern, I am going to be using an eye hook or 5.5mm hook. And I have number 4 or worsted weight yarn right here. And I'm not sure what kind of yarn it is. If I know the brand of yarn, I would certainly tell you, but this one, I lost the label a long time ago. It's some yarn that was in my stash and actually part of a recycled project. I had made something and I wasn't quite happy with it, so I took it apart. So that's why it's all like squiggly, but once it's, you know, stitched up, you won't even notice the squiggles. So if you do have projects that you're not enjoying, feel free to take them apart, that's okay. All right, so to get started with this pattern is going to be made bottom up. So what that means is the brim of the hat, and then we're going to work up towards the top of the hat. So to do this pattern, we are going to make a row of foundation single crochet. So if you've never done that before, it's very simple. I will show you. So what you're going to want to do is you'll have your slip knot on your hook, and we are going to work a chain of 2. So there's 1 and 2. So we have our 2 chains. So you're going to insert your hook in the second chain from your hook, however you like to work in the chain, and pull up your loop, just like if you were working a regular single crochet. And all of my patterns and terms that I discuss are US terms. So we have 2 loops on our hook, so we're going to yarn over. We're going to pull through 1. Normally you pull through 2 with single crochet, but we're just pulling through the 1. And now we're going to yarn over and pull through 2. So you've worked 1 foundation single crochet. So we're going to work right back in that chain. So you created a little chain right there. And you're going to insert your hook right back in there, pull up your loop, yarn over, pull through 1 loop, yarn over, pull through 2. So now we have 2 foundation single crochets, and I'm going to continue, and I'm going to work a total of 80 foundation single crochets. So now I have 3, so right back in there. 4. So I'm going to keep doing that off camera. I'm going to work a total of 80 and I will meet you back. Alright, so I have completed my 80 foundation single crochets right here. And what we're going to do is we are going to turn this row into a circle. So when we're done, round 1 will be completed already. So I've got my 80. So I don't want to twist it. Just pull it around there. So this is the first stitch that we made right here. So for this project, we are going to be working in continuous rounds. So what that means is there will be no joining. Normally you would join, you would work your slip stitch, and our first stitch for round 2 is actually going to be a single crochet. So if you do want to change colors, then I do suggest joining slip stitch, chain 1. The reason why I suggest working the slip stitch, when you do the continuous rounds with different colors, it tends to stagger the colors a little bit, so they're not, lined up perfectly, and that does bug some people, but we're not changing colors, so it's okay. Let's start round 2. So we are going to work a single crochet right in that first stitch that we made. And so now round 1 is completed, and we've already started round 2 with a single crochet. So what we're going to do is we are going to mark the first stitch. Now usually you mark the last stitch, but we're going to mark the first stitch. So I'm just going to use a scrap piece of yarn here to mark this stitch. You can certainly use stitch markers if you have them. I used to have them, I lost them. I have no idea where they are, so scraps of yarn, they're my favorites. Cheap, easy, they work well, but I know some people use bobby pins, safety pins. I've heard of people using bread ties, so get creative with your stitch markers. Okay, so we're ready for round 2, and also you will have a little bit of a gap here. Not to worry, once your project is done and you're going to need to weave in this end, you can just take this end, and then I would use your yarn needle, just slide it right through that first stitch, and that will close up that little gap, and then you continue weaving in your end and you won't even see it. Okay, so what we're going to do is we have the first stitch, single crochet, we marked it, we're going to chain 1. And now we're going to skip the next stitch and we're going to single crochet in the next. And we are going to continue this all the way around. So single crochet, chain 1, skip the next, single crochet in the next. Okay, so I'm just going to continue working this all the way around. So single crochet, chain 1, skipping a stitch, single crocheting in the next. Okay, so I'm going to keep going and then I'll meet you back. Okay, so I just finished round 2, or just about. So our last stitch is actually going to be the chain 1 here. And so now we are going to start round 3. So at the end of round 2, you will have a total of 40 single crochet and 40 chain 1 spaces. So we're going to pop out that stitch marker. That is our first stitch. And I'm going to single crochet in that first stitch. So this is the first stitch of round 3, and pop back in my stitch marker to mark that stitch, because again, continuous rounds just helps you know where the rounds start, where they end, so you don't have to think as hard. Alrighty, so round 3 is a repeat of round 2, so we're just going to chain 1. We're going to skip the next chain 1 space and then just single crochet in the next single crochet. Alright, so I'm going to keep going for round 3 of chain 1, single crochet all the way around. Okay, so I'm just about done round 3 here, so I just need to chain 1 and round 3 is completed. So now we're going to get ready to start round 4. So I'm going to pull out my stitch marker and our first stitch will be a single crochet. And I'm going to pop in a stitch marker again to mark my first stitch, and you'll start to understand why we're going to be marking the first stitch as we get going in the pattern. Right now you're probably like, what is she doing? Where is she going with this? Alright, so we have our first single crochet for round 4, and for the remainder of the pattern your very first stitch will always be a single crochet. Okay, so now we are going to chain 5. So we've chained 5. So what we're going to do is we are going to skip 2 chain 1 spaces. So here's one here, here's one here. And that'll just make it easier. Don't worry about the single crochets. Obviously we're skipping the single crochet too, but I find with this stitch pattern, it's just easier. Just think about the chain 1 spaces. So we're skipping this one, we're skipping this one. Now we've come up to the third chain 1 space. So we are going to work a slip stitch, not in this one here, but in the one below. So this would be the round 2. So I will show you. So you're just going to wrap your hook around that chain 1 space and work a slip stitch. And there we are. So now we're going to chain 5 again. And we're going to repeat. We're going to skip 2 chain 1 spaces. So we've skipped this one, we've skipped this one. Now we're going to work a single crochet in the next single crochet. And this starts the next repeat. So we've worked our single crochet, we're going to chain 5. And now we are going to skip 2 chain 1 spaces. So we're skipping this one, we've come to the next one, and we're going to work below the chain 1 space right underneath. So they line up pretty well, and work our slip stitch around that guy. and we're chaining 5 again. And we're going to skip this chain 1 space, skip this one, and we're going to work our single crochet in the very next one. So I'm going to continue with this repeat around. So now it's time for me to chain 5 again, skip my 2 chain 1 spaces, and then single or slip stitch in the next one. 1, 2, there's the third, and right underneath. So I'm going to keep going, and I will meet you back at the end of round 4. Okay, so I am finishing up round 4 as my last chain 5. So now we're going to get ready to start round 5. So at the end of round 4, you're going to have 16 of these chain 5. I guess they're like kind of like loop thingies. They're purely decorative. Alright, so for round 5, I'm going to pull out my stitch marker, and as I said before, the first stitch of all the rounds is going to be a single crochet. So I'm working my single crochet and just marking that stitch again. So what we're going to do next is we're going to chain 1, and we're going to work behind this chain 5 here. So you're just going to kind of push that to the side, and we're going to skip the next chain 1 space. The only time, let's just to make things a little bit clearer, the only time we ever work in the chain 1 spaces is when we're doing this slip stitching with the chain 5 here. And then as we go up farther in the pattern, there'll be some chain 3s, but that's a long ways away. So chained 1, and I'm going to work a half double crochet in this first single crochet here. So just kind of push that chain 5 out of the way, and we're going to chain 1, and our next single crochet, working a half double crochet, chaining 1. So there's our next single crochet, working a half double crochet in there. So you're going to have a total of 4 half double crochets. Oops. Has to pop out of there at least once. So we've got 1, 2, 3. So we've chained 1. So here is our next single crochet there to make 4 half double crochets. So we've got our 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're going to chain 1 again. And now we're going to go back and work in this single crochet here, which is part of round 4. So we're going to repeat that. So chain 1, just push that chain 5 out of the way, find the first unworked single crochet there, and work your half double crochet, chain 1, there's the next single crochet, work your half double crochet, chain 1, there's the next one, work the next half double crochet, chain 1. So we have 1, 2, 3. So there's one more single crochet, needs a half double crochet there, and we're chaining 1, and we're going to single crochet right in that single crochet. So you're just going to continue that all the way around. So I will meet you back at the end of round 5. Okay, so I am finishing up round 5 here. So I've chained 1 and round 5 is complete. So at the end of round 5, you will have a total of 32 half double crochet. You're going to have 8 single crochet. So we are going to start round 6. So I'm going to pop out my stitch marker, and this is where the repeat's going to start. You're going to be repeating rounds 5 and 6 for 26 rounds, alternating back and forth. So as I said before, first stitch is always a single crochet. So we're popping in our single crochet, marking our stitch. Now you certainly don't have to mark the first stitch, I mean, if you don't want to, but it just makes it a little easier for me. And I like to give helpful hints and suggestions with my patterns. Maybe you don't find it helpful. Maybe you do. Alright, so we've worked our first stitch single crochet. We're going to chain 5 again. So what we're going to do is instead of, we're going to do the same thing as we did below, but instead of it's, you know, they're going to be half double crochets from here on out. So we're going to skip 2 chain 1 spaces. So 1, 2, here is the third, and then right underneath that chain 1 space underneath, you're going to work your slip stitch. So chaining 5. And we're going to single crochet in the next. So this part is easier because you don't even have to worry. Since we've already established this first chain 5 sequence, you don't even have to think about skipping these guys. Just be like, oh, there's the next single crochet, and just single crochet right in there. And these rounds work up pretty quickly. So we're chaining 5 again. And skipping 2 chain 1 spaces, 1, 2. There's the third right underneath. Work that slip stitch. And it's really not hard. I think I'm making it look harder, oops, to slip stitch around there because I'm doing it through a camera. But when you have it right in front of you, it should be pretty simple. Come on, there we go. So chain 5. And we're going to single crochet in that next stitch and keep on going for this round. So I will meet you back at the end of round 6. Okay, so I'm at the end of round 6 and we're ready to start round 7. So I'm just going to work my first stitch, which is a single crochet. And as I said before, you're going to repeat round 5. So popping my stitch marker back in there. So this is our half double crochet, chain 1, half double crochet. So chain 1. So we're going to half double crochet. Instead of single crochet, you're going to work your half double crochet right on top of the next half double crochet. So your 4 half double crochets and then the chain 1 spaces in between. So there's the first one, and as is before, just kind of push those chain 5s to the side there. It's not going to hurt it. So now we have 2. We need to work 2 more. So we've chained 1 in between. So there is the third half double crochet. Chain 1. And there is the last one for stitch 4. And then chain 1. And then here's our single crochet, and you're just going to single crochet right on top of that. So as I said before, we're going to work 26 rounds. So you're going to alternate rounds 5 and 6. So just think of all your odd rows are going to be the half double crochet rows. All your even rows are your chain 5 rows. So I will meet you back at the end of round 26. All right, so I have worked my 26 rounds here. So we ended on a chain 5 round, repeating rounds 5 and 6. So the chain 1 half double crochet, chain 1 half double crochet. So you have your 4 half double crochets and you work your single crochet. And then the even round, which is the chain 5, you skip the 2 chain 1 spaces, slip stitch in the one below, chain 5, and then single crochet in the next. So now we're going to start, because we want to turn this into a hat, so we need to shrink that guy up there. So what we're going to do we're not going to chain 1. We've already worked a single crochet, and I need to find my stitch marker, so let me pop that in there real quick. Okay, so we've got our stitch marker in, marking our first stitch. So what we have been doing, because this is going to be a half double crochet round, is we would chain 1 after we worked our first stitch, which is a single crochet, but we're not going to chain 1. We're just going to work a half double crochet in the first one right there. So we're eliminating the chain 1, and that's going to help shrink it down. And then our next stitch, we are going to chain 1 like we had been doing, and half double crochet in the next. And we're going to chain 1 again, and then half double crochet in our third half double crochet. So we've got our 3, we're going to chain 1 again, and we're going to half double crochet in the fourth half double crochet. Yeah, we're going to do it. So there we go, we've got our half double crochets. Now it's time to work the single crochet. We are not going to chain 1, and we're just going to single crochet in that. So we are eliminating 2 chain 1 spaces for this round. So now we're starting the next sequence. So it's single crochet, and then we're just immediately working a half double crochet, and then chain 1, working our half double crochet in the next, chain 1, and working half double crochet in the next one. So we've got our 3 half double crochets, so we're going to chain 1 again, work the fourth half double crochet, and then we're back to our single crochet, just working the single crochet. So I'm going to repeat that for the rest of this round, and I will meet you back at the end of round 27. Okay, so I have finished up round 27. So at the end of round 27, we are going to have 24 chain 1 spaces. Before we had 40 chain 1 spaces, now we're down to 24. So now we're ready to start round 28. So we are going to single crochet in our first single crochet, just like we've been doing, and mark that stitch. Alright, so now we're going to chain 5 again, just like we have been doing. We want to keep with our pattern. So we're just going to skip 1 chain 1 space, and now we're coming to this middle guide. So we're not going to slip stitch here, we're going to slip stitch in the one below, just like we had been doing for all the other even rounds there. And we're going to chain 5 again. And now we're just going to single crochet in our single crochet. So we're just going to repeat that all the way around. So another quick round. So we've chained 5, we're skipping 1 chain 1 space, we're going to the next one, and we're just popping in our slip stitch in the one below. And chain 5. So I'm going to continue this all the way around for round 28. Okay, so I have finished round 28. So now we're going to get started on round 29. And as always, we pop in a single crochet for our first stitch of each round, and I'm going to mark this stitch here as I've been doing. And again, that's optional. You don't have to mark the stitch if you don't want to. Alrighty, so now we're ready for round 29, and it's going to be a repeat of round 27. So we are just going to half double crochet in our first half double crochet, no chain 1 in between. Now we're going to chain 1 with the next one. So just think of it as bookends of before we were always doing chain 1, half double crochet, chain 1, but these 2 half double crochets of the 4, there'll be no chain 1 space in between the single crochet there. So I'm going to continue with round 29 of working this half double crochet section, and I will meet you back. Okay, so I have finished round 29, so now we're ready for round 30. So we're going to single crochet in our first single crochet, just like we've been doing. Alrighty, so now we're going to start round 30. So instead of chaining 5, we are going to chain 4 because we want to start decreasing, making that hole a little bit smaller. So we've got 4 chains, and we are going to skip 1, chain 1 space like we did before, and we're at the next one, and we're just going to slip stitch right under in the one underneath of it. And we're going to chain 5 again, or chain 4, I'm sorry. We're chaining 4 this time instead of chaining 5. And we're going to work our single crochet in the next single crochet. So now we're going to chain 4 again. And skip the next chain 1 space and then slip stitch in the one. We always slip stitch in the round below. So chaining 4 and then working our single crochet. So I'm going to continue that all the way around for round 30. Okay, so I have finished up round 30. So now we're ready for round 31. So always starting with our first single crochet and then popping that stitch marker right back in there. And now we're going to get ready to do a little bit more decreasing here. We're kind of doing it strategically. We're not actually really using decreased stitches, but just lessening up the chains and getting rid of some chain 1 spaces kind of helps shrink that hole down a little bit. Okay, so now we're going to work a half double crochet in our first half double crochet, no chain 1 space, and now we're going to work a half double crochet in the next one. So we're getting rid of another chain 1 space, and now we are going to chain 1 and half double crochet in the next stitch. And then we are going to, so now we have 3 stitches, and then we're going to work a half double crochet in the last. So now out of this half double crochet group, we only have the 1 chain 1 space, and now we're ready for a single crochet. And we'll do that one more time. So get the idea of what's happening here. So half double crochet in the first stitch, first half double crochet, oops, my stitch marker, get out of there, man. And now we're going to half double crochet in the next one. And now it's time to chain 1. So just think the middle here where we work our slip stitches is where we chain 1. So half double crochet in the next. So we're still working the 4 half double crochets. We're just getting rid of some chain 1 spaces there. And there's the other half double crochet. Sometimes that last one kind of likes to hide. As I said before, you can just kind of move around these chains. It's not going to hurt the pattern at all. They're anchored in there pretty well, so you know you're not going to damage anything. So I'm going to continue with round 31 and I will meet you back. Okay, so we finished up round 31. So at the end of round 31 you're going to have 8 chain 1 spaces. So now we're starting round 32. So always working that first single crochet, marking my stitch. So you'll see that the top of the hat is slowly getting smaller. This pattern does, I think, work up fairly quickly. It doesn't seem like it because it's just mostly single crochet stitches, you know, the shorter stitches, but they do work up pretty fast, I think. Okay, so now we are going to repeat round 30. So we're going to chain 4. So it's a little bit different than round 30 because we don't have that extra chain 1 space to skip. We're just going immediately to the chain 1 space here and then working in the one below it. So working that slip stitch right below. And I make it really hard doing it through the camera here, but it's not that hard, I promise. Okay, come on. Because when I finish the rounds off camera, I get the rounds done pretty fast actually. Because it's just chains and slip stitch. Come on, let's do this. We got this. All right, so there we go. Chain 4. Really, I know how to crochet, I promise. Okay, so we're going to single crochet in the next single crochet, working our chain 4, and then right in that chain 1 space and go to the one below and working the slip stitch. So I'm going to continue this for round 32 and then I will meet you back. Okay, so we just finished up round 32, so now we're ready for round 33. And round 33 is actually going to be a repeat of round 31. So we're going to single crochet in the first stitch and work half double crochets in the next 2 half double crochets, and then we'll work our chain 1 and then half double crochet in the next 2 and then work your single crochet. Okay, we're getting close to the end. We're still got a couple more rounds to go, but we are definitely on the tail end, the home stretch, which is always exciting with the project, I think. It's when you can really see it starting to come together. So working my single crochet. So I'm just going to continue with this round and then I'll meet you back. Okay, so we just finished round 33, so now we're ready for round 34. So we're starting with that first single crochet as we always do. So now we are going to chain 3 instead of chaining 4. So slowly shrinking this hole up here at the top. So chaining 3, and we're going to go right to that chain 1 space and work our slip stitch right underneath of it. So we started with chain 5 and then we went to chain 4 and now we're at chain 3. So chain 3 and single crochet. So we're just going to continue that all the way around, chaining 3, getting to your chain 1 space and then slip stitching right underneath of it. So I will meet you back. Okay, so we just finished round 34. We are ready for round 35. So we are going to work our single crochet as always in that first stitch, and now we're going to shrink this up a little bit more. So now we're going to work some decreased stitches, some actual decreased stitches. So what we're going to do is you're going to work in the front loop only of these half double crochet. So we're just going to pull up this one here. So we've yarned over already, we're working in the front loop of that one, and we're going to put our hook immediately in the front loop in the next one. So you've got 4 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over and pull through 2 of those guys. So we've got 3 loops, now we're going to yarn over and pull through all 3. I just think it's a little bit more of a streamlined half double crochet decrease than a traditional half double crochet decrease. It just gets kind of bulky looking. Not that you really see it in this pattern, but I just prefer this method, especially when working in the round. So we're going to yarn over. You're going to pull up a loop, or we chained 1, I'm sorry. So we worked the half double crochet decrease or together stitch, they're the same thing. Chaining 1, so now we yarned over and we're going to pull up a loop in the next stitch and pull up a loop in the next. So we've got our 4 loops, pulling through 2 of them, and then yarning over, pulling through the last 3 stitches. So now we have combined those stitches into, now we just have 2 instead of our 4 that we had before. And now we're going to work a single crochet in the next single crochet. So we'll do that one more time. So yarning over and pulling up, working in the front loop only, pulling up a loop, front loop only, pulling up a loop, yarning over, pulling through 2, yarn over, pull through all 3, chain 1, and we're going to do this all the way around. So working our next decrease or together stitch. I learned them as decrease stitches, but I feel like I guess the more current crochet stuff is together stitches. So I'm going to continue this all the way around. Okay, so we finished up round 35. So now we're ready for round 36. So as always, we start with our single crochet in the first stitch there. And now we are going to repeat round 34. So we're just chaining 3. And we're going to slip stitch. We're going right to that chain 1 space and slip stitch in the one underneath of it. And there we go, it worked. So I'm making it look hard. So we're going to chain 3 and then single crochet right in that single crochet. So chaining 3 again, and working our slip stitch right there, and chaining 3. So I'm going to continue this all the way around, and there's my single crochet, working my single crochet for round 36. Okay, so we just finished up round 36, so now we have 2 more rounds to go. So I'm going to pop out my stitch marker, and as always for round 37 we're working a single crochet. So we worked our first single crochet, so what we're going to do now is we are going to half double crochet in this next half double crochet here. And we're not going to work a chain 1 space. We are just going to half double crochet in the next one. So further shrinking this hole here. And then we are going to single crochet in the next single crochet. And continue that around. So you're going to half double crochet in the next half double crochet in the next, and single crochet in the next, all the way around. Alrighty, so I have finished up round 37, so we've got 1 more round to go, and then we're going to close this hole up here. So after round 37 you're going to have a total of 24 stitches. So I'm going to pull out my stitch marker, and we're going to work a single crochet just like we've been doing in that first stitch, and we're going to chain 3. So there's no chain 1 space here because we eliminated it, but there's still one there. So you're just going to go to the chain 1 space in the round below and work your slip stitch. And chain 3 again. And we're going to single crochet in that single crochet. So you're going to chain 3 again and find your chain 1 space. There she is, right there. And work your slip stitch around it. Come on, baby. There we are. And chaining 3. So I'm going to continue this all the way around for round 38, and then we will finish closing up the hole, and the hat will be done. Alright, so I have finished up round 38. So at the end of round 38, now it's time to join. So we're going to work a slip stitch to join it. And so all of our rounds have been completed. So now we still have a hole here, and we need to close up this hole. So I'm going to use my little trick that I came up with. I borrowed from knitting, so if you've made any other hats with me, you've seen this before from bottom up hats. So what you will need, another hook and possibly a third, but I could probably do it with 2. So I have another eye hook here, but you can use either one hook size. You can use a couple, like 2 hook sizes down if you don't have another eye hook, but let's say you have an H hook, which is a 5mm, or even a G hook, it's going to be fine to do it. So what we're going to do is, so we have this loop on our hook. So you want to make sure the loop isn't too tight, but you don't want it really loose. So, fairly snug on the hook, but want to be able to move it around a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to be pulling up more loops. So you're going to just pull back your chain 3s. So there's our 2 half double crochets. So you're going to insert your hook in the next half double crochet, yarn over, pull up a loop. We're not going to work it off. So you're going to go in the next half double crochet, pull up a loop. So there we have our 3 loops. So now we're at our single crochet, pull up a loop. So you're going to pull up as many loops as you can fit on your hook. Now, even if you have the type of hooks that have like a wider end or like a cushiony end, I think you can still use this method. You just might need to use, more than 2, probably 3. You can use up to 4 hooks. I've done it with 4 before, but I, probably can do it with 2. Just crowd as many hooks, because usually when you have the type of hook that has the, you know, the cushiony thing on there, you've got about like that much working room. So just, you know, squish on as many as you possibly can. So it might feel a little bit awkward, but you'll see where we're going with this at the end. So I'm gonna continue pulling up all my loops here, and I'll probably pull some more up off camera because it's a little awkward doing it like this. Okay, so I've got a bunch of loops on that hook. I don't think I can cram on anymore, so now I'm going to grab my second hook here. So I do believe it's a single crochet stitch that we need to, so I'm going to insert my hook into that single crochet stitch. I mean, yours might be a half double crochet, just depends. And I am going to pull up another loop, and I'm just going to continue. So we're going to leave these guys on that hook there and continue to pull up loops until I get to the end here. Okay, so as you can see, I've got all my loops on my hook here, on my two hooks. I mean, if you wanted to, you know, pull out a third one or even a fourth, you know, it would look like, if you're a knitter, then it would look a little bit like double pointed needles, you know, having all the needles around. But now we're time to work these guys off. So when you're working them off, you want to take your time. You don't want to just rip through, because what we're going to do is kind of make a giant slip stitch, taking this yarn and just pulling through all these loops, and then we'll go around and pull through all of these. So if you miss a loop and mess up, then you do have to start over, and that's a hassle. So try to get it done the first time is my word of advice there. So I've yarned over, and I'm just going to, you can do like 2 at a time if you want, or even if you're real worried, just take your finger and do that and just slowly work them off. Okay, so now we've got them all off of this hook. So what you want to do is this loop that's on this hook, you're going to put it onto the next one. Just like that. Pull this guy out. We're done with you. So you want to have that loop kind of snug on your hook. So I just gave it a tug, and now we're going to do the same thing. Just pulling through. So I'm actually going to do this off camera because I'm afraid I'm going to mess up. Alright, so I've worked off all of my loops. So what you want to do is you're going to cut the yarn, because now we're done. And I'm bumping things, sorry about that. So we're going to cut our yarn, and you're going to take your tail and just pull it through. And then you give it a tug. And then you have, I think, a nice, a neater closed hole than if you just kind of sewed it shut. And then what I like to do is I just put my hook inside the hat, poke it through that center, and then grab that tail and give it a nice good tug to close it up. And see, there you can see, I just think that looks a little bit nicer than, as I said before, sewing it up. So our hat is complete, and if you certainly can add a pom-pom, or you know, you want to add any kind of buttons or whatever here, of course you're going to weave in your ends. And this guy, just take your yarn needle, poke it through here, and then cinch that guy closed, and you're not going to see that gap anymore. So I hope you enjoyed this project, and I thank you so much for watching.